This is Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro. From the corporate office to the cab of a truck, they're here to inspire and empower women in all professions. So gear down, sit back, and enjoy.
Welcome. We're an award-winning show dedicated to empowering women in every profession through inspiring stories and expert insights. No topics off limits on our show. We power women on the road to success with expert and celebrity interviews and information you need. I'm Shelley.
And this is Kathy.
Anti-aging, regenerative medicine, and good health are all buzzwords we hear a lot today. Not everyone understands what all that is. Women want to be at the top of their game, no matter what their age, and they want to find the right doctor who can assist them. Dr. Joy Kong is an authority on the subject of anti-aging. She's a triple board-certified anti-aging physician and stem cell specialist. She's the founder of Chara Health and Chara Biologics to help people with everything from diet and sleep to skin and fertility. As a dedicated educator and pioneer in the field of regenerative medicine, Dr. Kong founded the American Academy of Integrative Cell Therapy, or AAICT. She's trained numerous physicians from around the world. With many accolades, including Stem Cell Doctor of the Year and Stem Cell Doctor of the Decade, Dr. Kong continues to be a respected figure in the medical community, dedicated to advancing the field of regenerative medicine and improving patient outcomes through her emphasis on scientific data, passion, authenticity, and integrity. Dr. Kong is also the author of Tiger of Beijing, which recounts her remarkable journey as an immigrant from China at the age of 20. It was named Book of the Year by IAOTP in 2020. Regenerative medicine and anti-aging are some things we wanted to know about, so we invited Dr. Kong on the show. Welcome, Dr. Kong. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited for our conversation.
So are we, exactly.
I've got a ton of questions. I know Kathy probably does too. And, Dr. Kong, you are quite the pioneer. What led you to go into this field of medicine, and what exactly is all of this about? Everybody wants to fight aging. Is that possible?
Yes, the time is actually here that we can actually stall the pace of aging and even reverse it. And this is the first time in history. I always said, no matter what you were in the past, you could be the most powerful king or queen in the world. You could not slow the aging process down. Everybody was going downhill, and as you saw in the portraits, but they couldn't stop it. But now we actually have a chance. We could probably stop. I don't know where the future goes, but as of the science now, I'm pretty sure we can solve the process for about 20, 30 years. That's not a problem. So basically, keeping a person at a youthful state for 20 to 30 years longer.
Oh, how
Nice.
fabulous is that?
Nice. I just turned 55, so I'm quite interested.
Yes. And I started doing my anti-aging protocol when I was 45. So now I'm 53. And I'm pretty public about it. In my book, there's my birthday. So the age, I feel now is becoming less and less relevant because we're looking at the biological age, really how old you are from the inside instead of how many years you've lived on this earth. So I want to encourage people to look at the aging from a whole different angle, because you can age, which means accumulating years on earth without declining biologically. So you keep in the same youthful state for a very, very long time.
Oh, that's marvelous. That's a game changer when you think about it.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So when I got into the field, I wasn't thinking, oh, I want to be young forever. I mean, that wasn't even on my mind. All I wanted was to feel good, not get sick, right? Be well for a very long time until the day I have to leave the earth. And that's really the purpose. So I wanted to help my patients to achieve the same, because that's the whole point of becoming a doctor, because we're trying to reduce suffering. So if there are ways that I can reduce the amount of suffering by optimizing people's health, so they don't get sick in the first place. That would be the best, right? But even if they get sick, if we can understand all those underlying causes of why they got sick, then we can get them better much faster than if you don't know the underlying causes. And that's a problem with conventional medicine, is that they are not looking at all the underlying causes
No.
because they don't know, because that's not part of the education. That's
Right.
not part of the philosophy. The philosophy is to wait until people get sick, and then you diagnose them and hook them with drugs, which are all tailored toward diagnoses. So the whole point is that we wait for you to get sick so we can diagnose you, and then we can give you drugs. And that's something that I was not willing to be kind of a slave to. You know, a lot of doctors had become disillusioned because they weren't feeling very helpful. So if a person comes in and chronic illnesses have skyrocketed, and if people are coming in with all these chronic conditions, Western medicine, traditional medicine, are not very well equipped at looking at chronic conditions because there are so many causes. They are great at looking at acute conditions, trauma, acute infections and injury. That's all great. But when it comes to something chronic, it has become quite helpless unless you're looking outside. So when I first came out of medical school, I decided to go into psychiatry because I love the brain and understanding how the brain works. And the psychiatry is the same thing. If we're trying to diagnose reducing everybody to depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, then we only have those medications to give. That's our toolbox. But we're not looking at, why does this person get depressed? What are all the causes? And we were not trained to do that. Not even nutrition. We all know nutrition plays a huge role. We were not equipped to talk about nutrition. We know about vitamins, minerals, and proteins. I mean, we're very rudimentary. Half an hour of education. It basically just brushed over. Okay, people need to eat healthy. And so traditional route doesn't have the language for it. And that's when, if I wanted to enhance my own health or enhance my patient's health, then I have to look outside of the box. Unfortunately, there's these burgeoning specialties called anti-aging medicine or functional medicine or integrative medicine. They're all the same thing. They're looking at many, many causes that are triggering our decline, which triggers diseases. So if we can reverse those conditions, then we can get back to true health. And regenerative medicine, stem cell therapy, that's all part of it. It's part of addressing some of the root causes, because one root cause of why we decline, get old, get cancer, and get sick is because we're running out of stem cells. So if we can replenish that, and we can harness the power of stem cells, which were actually the cells that made us, right? From the first fertilized egg, that was the first stem cell. So we all came from a single stem cell. And how did it become us? And go figure, we don't know exactly how. We know that there's this complex, embryology, how a fetus is formed, but we don't know how. We don't know how the cells know. So this is a huge mystery. And what I'm doing with stem cell therapy is that I'm tapping into that mystery, that intelligence, that unbelievable, miraculous intelligence, right? How did it know? How did it do that? So I don't know how, but they're doing it. We're beginning to understand the different mechanisms of how the cells work. So that's unraveling some of the mystery. But what I do know is that when I give people these stem cells, it addresses so many causes. It addresses, it can break down their scar tissue. It can enhance the blood vessel formation, so enhancing blood supply. It can calm the immune system, balancing the immune system. It calms the inflammation drastically. And it tells your local stem cells to wake up and start replicating and replenish the tissue. Get rid of the bad cells, the cells that don't function well, and then have the new cells, new tissue to come in place so that you have new healthy organs. So these are just a few of the mechanisms, but there are more. So that's kind of the background of how I got into regenerative medicine, is really because of the quest for holistic healing. And
wow.
This is just wow. I mean, I'm just kind of
wow.
awestruck.
That's me too. That's the only word that comes to mind is wow.
So, yeah, because I think that, when looking at Hollywood and stuff, the only hope we ever had of maybe having looking fabulous forever is to be a vampire.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, actually, with a vampire facial is part of regenerative medicine because you're tapping into your body's own healing potential.
Now, what is that exactly? A vampire
So
facial?
really, that was obtaining a person's blood. That's where the vampire part comes in. Obtaining person's blood, and you centrifuge it down where you can get not the red blood cells, but the part that's clear, the plasma. And within the plasma, it's very rich in platelets. So it's platelet-rich plasma. And when you smear that on the face and use microneedling to drive these platelet-rich plasma, which really the platelets will secrete a lot of growth factors that triggers your skin to regenerate. And then when you do microneedling, you're disrupting the skin, so you're creating a little bit of injury, controlled injury. When you control that injury, you're triggering this whole cascade of signals. Your body basically screaming, "Oh my God, I need to fix this." And then when the new growth factors, everything is there to help you fix it. All of a sudden, you can form new tissue that's healthier. So that's really tapping into what your body can do. If you just let the wrinkles and the lesions just sit there, and they're not going to do anything. But if you disrupt it and put some growth factors on there, all of a sudden the cells can start to make better tissue. And
Sure.
now the wrinkles and are replaced with good, smooth, nice looking skin. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are familiar with the vampire facial or treatments. And they may go, "Ooh, that sounds disgusting." But if it works, why
Yeah,
not?
it looks very
Yeah.
bloody. That's another reason it's called vampire facial. But we
Right.
actually have something better. We can inject stem cells, which is so much more powerful than just the PRP. I
Mm.
call it PRP on steroid. So the stem cells will give much, much higher level of result and longer lasting.
Now, is that using somebody's own stem cells?
You can do that. You can use a person's own fat or bone marrow. But one thing I've been talking about in the field is to let people know of the differences between different sources. When I first came into this entire regenerative medicine field, I was faced with whether or not I can use a person's own stem cells or I can go get something really young, which are the birth tissue, so umbilical cord, placenta. So I can get those sources, but which one is better? So I dug really deep into research, which resulted in this presentation I gave in various medical conferences. Is called ROMSE's Created Equal, because the answer is no. They're actually quite different. When you use your own stem cells have aged with you. Not only has declined in the number drastically, but also declined in quality. So when you use younger sources, the cells are more potent and they are actually safer because your own cells tends to tell everything to grow, including existing cancer, whereas the younger cells have more of an intelligence to detect a cancer and then helping your body get rid of it, actually sending signals to tell the cells to die. So even though they're all called mesenchymal stem cells, they're all a type of crucial stem cells in your body that's everywhere in your body, but they decrease sharply. So, but if you use these younger sources, you're going to get better results and it's going to be safer for you. If you have concerns about cancer, of course, all of us, we all have cancer cells popping up here and there, just part of life, but your immune system will get rid of it. But all of a sudden, if you put in signals that is telling everything to grow and can overpower or override some of the signals from the immune system, then yes, you can actually get exacerbation. And that's what different studies have shown, that there's a risk of promoting cancer. That may be one of the only potential side effects. Everything else is pretty much kind of operator dependent. Once in a while, maybe the cryopreservatives in the product can cause a little bit of side effects. But in general, these treatments using nature's intelligence to heal ourselves is just extraordinarily safe, extraordinary.
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. I have one question for you. Do you want to stop worrying about the IRS? If the answer is yes, then look no further. I've been around for years. I've helped countless people across the country, and my success rate speaks for itself. So now you know where to find good, honest help with your tax problems. What are you waiting for? If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS, or haven't filed in years, call me now at 888-557-4020 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com for a free consultation and get your life back.
Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward is telling the story of the industry. Our safety champions, the women of trucking, independent contractors, the next generation of truckers, and more. Help us promote the best of our industry. Share your story and what you love about trucking. Share images of a moment you're proud of. And join us on social media. Learn more at truckingmovesamerica.com.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro.
If you're enjoying this informative episode of Women Road Warriors, I wanted to mention Kathy and I explore all kinds of topics that will power you on the road to success. We feature a lot of expert interviews. Plus, we feature celebrities and women who've been trailblazers. Please check out our podcast at womenroadwarriors.com and click on our episodes page. We're also available wherever you listen to podcasts, on all the major podcast channels like Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Amazon Music, Audible, you name it. Check us out and bookmark our podcast. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, YouTube, and other sites. And tell others about us. We want to help as many women as possible. What if I told you you could slow down the aging process or even start to reverse it? Sounds futuristic, right? Well, it's very real, and Dr. Joy Kong is at the forefront of this breakthrough science. She's a triple board-certified anti-aging physician, a stem cell specialist, and the founder of Chara Health and Chara Biologics. Dr. Kong helps people improve everything from their sleep and skin to fertility and overall health using cutting-edge regenerative medicine. With honors like Stem Cell Doctor of the Year and Doctor of the Decade, she's the real deal, and we're talking to her. She's been telling us how all this works. Dr. Kong, much of what you've been discussing sounds a lot like reprogramming the body in many ways. Well, when you think about it, the body's basically kind of like a computer program, isn't it?
It's very, very sophisticated. You want to, the DNA that's contained in the cells is where the magic comes from, because everything the cells is doing is directed by the DNA. That's the blueprint. And the DNA is the most energy dense substance in the universe. So what is energy? And to me, that really, it means intelligence. It's the condensed intelligence. So and how much more intelligent it is than any computer we can invent.
Mhm.
I think it's way superior as far as what we can grow life. Let's see if a computer can do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the younger stem cells, I know that that can be an ethical issue with a lot of people too. Can the placenta be used?
Yes. The placenta is usually tossed, right? When the baby is born, it's healthy live birth, then they cut the cord,
Mhm.
and the cord and placenta, everything is just tossed in the biological waste basket. But now we have much more information about what these tissues contain, that they have some of the most powerful regenerative elements. Now we ask the mother, hey, do you want to save these tissue for your baby's future, in case your baby gets sick or, the baby needs it.
I would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
a lot of
would.
mothers
Yeah.
do, but believe it or not, 90% of mothers say no because it's very expensive. It takes a few $1,000s a year to keep these
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
cells
wow.
stored in the bank. So a lot of people say no, and once they say no, then they're asked if they would like to donate.
Mhm.
So if they say yes, they have to go through very stringent, very, it's a very strict process, screening out their own illnesses, family history of any conditions, any travel history that could be exposing them to, for toxic elements, or their own work history, sexual history. So everything's screened for. And then once the tissue is brought to a lab that process them, they have to check certain infectious diseases to make sure that these are good for transplantation, because it's as strict as any organ transplantation. So, but it's actually stricter for what we do. So I have a stem cell company. We manufacture contract manufacture these products that I designed, and we make sure that our process is the strictest in the whole industry to avoid any potential risk. So we screen for things like Lyme disease or Chagas, and we also do not accept mothers who've been vaccinated with the COVID vaccine, the mRNA vaccines.
Oh, interesting.
We don't know what the potential risks are, and I'm just not willing to put anybody in that risk, including myself. I'm using these cells all the time, every 3 months. So I think for everybody's safety, to be, because we swore an oath, first do no harm, and I'm just not willing to put people at risk. Yeah.
Did anyone tell you today how amazing you are?
Oh, yes, you're super amazing. And for the listeners who can't see you, you look like you're in your 20s. I mean, if you really, you're beautiful. And it's just
I'm so appreciative. Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, you guys, you've been doing this for a long time, so you would know what social media is doing. It's just so funny. So as I become more public about what I do, my age, etc., and I've seen people just making very mean comments, and there are a lot of
they're
negativity.
jealous.
Yeah, it was funny. Okay, this is funny. I'm going to do an episode about this because I have my own podcast. But some say, okay, I wish Dr. Kong is honest about it. And she obviously has done facelift. She's done all these things, and she should just come out and be honest about it. So I want to invite people, come. Pick somebody, your representative. Come, let's do a live session. I want you to take a look at my face. Examine everywhere on my head. Let's look for the scars. So,
because they'll be there somewhere.
But it's such in a sense such a compliment, because they're saying it's impossible for you to look the way you do without surgery. But that's exactly my point. I'm trying to show people you can do that now. You can look naturally radiant and youthful without cutting yourself up.
Oh, isn't that awesome? Yeah, who wants to go under the knife? I mean, that's a scary proposition, not to mention you're paying a lot of money to do it.
Yeah, a lot of money, and it may not look good.
Goodness, we see that, don't we? On some of the celebrities, it's like, who did they go to? What on earth? I mean, men and women both.
Yeah. So that's my whole point. I'm trying to show people, hey, you don't have to decline. I mean, who wants to get older and older and get, feeling worse and lack of energy, or start to get sick here and there? It's tiring. How about just be well? That's what I'm showing you. But the side effect of being well is to look youthful and to feel really good about how you look. Because a lot of times when people age, you probably, you've seen that. People look tired, right?
Yes.
When they're aging. And they said, no, I'm not tired. But yeah, you look tired, or you look pissed off.
That too. Yeah. And sometimes the people really are kind of crotchety and ticked off.
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. I have one question for you. Do you want to stop worrying about the IRS? If the answer is yes, then look no further. I've been around for years. I've helped countless people across the country, and my success rate speaks for itself. So now you know where to find good, honest help with your tax problems. What are you waiting for? If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or haven't filed in years, call me now at 888-557-4020 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com for a free consultation and get your life back.
Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward is telling the story of the industry. Our safety champions, the women of trucking, independent contractors, the next generation of truckers, and more. Help us promote the best of our industry. Share your story and what you love about trucking. Share images of a moment you're proud of. And join us on social media. Learn more at truckingmovesamerica.com.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro.
Imagine having the ability to slow or even reverse your body's aging process. Dr. Joy Kong is proving it's entirely possible. She's a trailblazer in regenerative medicine, a triple board certified anti-aging specialist, and the founder of both Chara Health and Chara Biologics. Dr. Kong helps people restore their vitality, boosting sleep, skin health, fertility, and more, using cutting-edge stem cell therapies and regenerative medicine. She's trained physicians worldwide and earned titles like Stem Cell Doctor of the Year and Doctor of the Decade. She taps into the intelligence of stem cells to reverse aging, to improve health, and increase youth. She's been walking us through the process and the possibilities.
So, Dr. Kong, what exactly do your facilities and your physicians and Chara Biologics do? Are there stem cell injections? I mean, how does all of this work?
Yeah. So the stem cell injections at my clinic, that is definitely a cornerstone of everything, because without doing that and seeing firsthand how many conditions, how many people I can help, really that wouldn't get me the incentive to develop the products and to share with other doctors. So I do a lot of education. I've trained a lot of doctors, and I've also developed a stem cell product, a few of them, and to send to doctors so they can use it for their patients. But everything started with me providing treatment. And I'll just give you an example. I think, examples always speak to people, because that's what got me excited the first time I did stem cell treatment, because everything sounds great. Oh, stem cells, amazing, all these potentials, but does it actually work? So the very first patient I treated was 69 years old. And he was told by 2 orthopedic surgeons that he needed bilateral knee replacement because they were in such bad shape. So he was in a lot of pain, and he was very active. He goes to lots of trade shows and walk around a lot. And so he did not want to do surgery. I decided to give him an IV infusion and also injection into each knee. And the reason I did both is because within the knee joint, which is very large, the outer third of the cartilage is nourished by the blood supply. The inner 2/3 is nourished by the synovial fluid. So you want to attack from both angles. And what's interesting was the next day, he said, "Hey, I slept through the night and I wasn't woken up by pain off his shoulder." So he never told me about his rotator cuff injury. And all I was focusing on was his knees. But he had a bad car accident when he was a teenager. So his rotator cuff was torn and never fully healed. So every time when he was rolling over, moving, he will be woken up from the sharp pain. But without me touching his shoulder, not knowing anything about his shoulder was fine, actually still fine this day. It's fixed. So but I didn't know about it, right? So it's like, wow.
That's amazing.
That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Right.
Yeah.
And the knees are doing great. So he was walking from, having a lot of pain, being really worried, to walking 4 miles every day for years. Even now he's 70, should be 77 years old.
And he never had the surgery.
Never. Still going to a lot of trade shows. He goes to more trade shows than anybody I know. And, walking miles every day. He said, "I almost don't realize I have knees, that I don't even think about it. Once in a while,"
wow.
he said, when I walk uphill, I feel a little, I think walking downhill, he feels a slight twinge. But that's the only thing he notices. So I saved somebody from knee replacement surgery.
Yeah.
And I was not an orthopedic surgeon. Like, who was I, who was actually trained in psychiatry? Who was I to fix somebody's knees when his highly trained orthopedic surgeons have no way of helping him that way? The only way they could think of was to cut him up and give him a new knee.
Oh, yeah.
So, right? So how would I not be hooked? How empowering is that for a doctor?
So this can reverse a lot of conditions. People with degenerative conditions in their joints, in their back, all of the different things. And does it also have a side benefit where you just start looking really fabulous?
I think that is a side benefit, because I didn't know, when I started doing the treatment, I was doing it every 3 months, because I heard for anti-aging benefits is every 3 to 6 months. So I did every 3 months. I wanted to be a little bit more proactive. And within about a year or so, my neighbor at the time, she was my neighbor for 8 years. She said, "Joy, what have you been doing? You're looking younger and younger. What's going on?" And not just her that noticed that, but her mother-in-law and her daughter, they all had the same comment. And to me, it was very surprising because that wasn't why I did it. I just wanted to feel good. So the thing is, I don't have there's not enough human studies, although people who have done regular IV stem cells, the few people I met, they all look fantastic for their age. So that's one thing I know. But there are animal studies. Rats and mice, they only live for about 18 to 20 months. So they don't live very long. You can actually conduct longevity studies, right? It's like fast forward for humans. You can actually see what's going on in these animals. So when they start to give animals these regular IV stem cells, they realize that animals consistently, they live for about 30% longer.
Wow.
Not just living longer, but
Yeah.
they look better. Their furs are shinier and more even. Their spine is straighter. They are running around like young mice. Their locomotion is fantastic, and their cognition is better because they still remember how to do the maze and etc. So everything was reverted to the younger state. And then when they actually dissected the animals, that's like the nail on the coffin, right? Now we know for sure. When they dissected the animals, their muscles and their brain, every marker they looked at, whether or not it's neurotransmitters, it's growth factor secretion, or it's different senescence markers, right? The markers that showing that they were declining, they were getting older, toxic waste buildup. Everything was reverted back to the younger state.
Wow.
So that's definitive evidence.
Yeah.
And that's what people are looking for.
They want to live longer, but they want to have a quality of life, because you can live longer, but if you have an awful quality of life, it isn't living. And that's something people are really seeking. And a lot of people have pain. Pain is a super big issue that you hear about all the time. I mean, obviously, you're hearing advertisements for that. Now,
and actually, one of my first patients had chronic, severe pain. Years, probably over 20 years of severe pain and lots of tissue injuries. And he's tried everything and just was not doing well. And then I gave him stem cells. Very simple, IV stem cells. I didn't do anything extraordinary, but giving him an IV infusion, and everything was transformed. And then he was ecstatic. So that just, the cases like this keep piling up. And then you were asking me what kind of conditions stem cells are helping. Basically, what I say is, if you're looking at any condition that has inflammation and tissue damage and immune dysregulation as part of the problem, stem cells fits right in, because those are the things it excels at. So any chronic condition will have inflammation as part of the problem, including all kinds of, including neurodegenerative conditions, right? One of the toughest diseases to treat. But autoimmune issues, immune dysregulation.
My daughter's got really severe psoriatic arthritis ever since the second COVID shot. And she's 30, but she walks with a cane.
Oh my goodness.
So like it's crazy. Yeah, it's just,
she should definitely give this a try. There are studies showing
that's what I was going to see.
Specifically psoriatic arthritis, but psoriasis in general. Definitely, it can be incredibly helpful. So definitely she should give that.
Wow.
That a try.
Now, where do people get this treatment, and does insurance cover it? Of course, that's a big question.
Right now, very few insurance companies will cover it. I don't know if you guys are aware of the entire medical establishment, how big pharma, drug companies, and insurance companies, they all work together so that people are kept in this system of disease, drugs, insurance coverage, more drugs. It's a very convenient system for the insurance companies and the drug companies to make incredible amount of fortune. I mean, why are insurance companies so rich if they're covering all these expensive drugs? No, there's subsidies from the government, and there are discounts between the drug companies and the insurance company. I mean, it's a racket. It works so well for them, but not for the people. The people are still sick and stuck. And they think that, oh, insurance doesn't cover it, so then I can't do it, because then it may not be worth it. Then the FDA has not recognized it. Okay, so if you want to stay in that system and suffer, that's definitely everyone's choice. But the thing is, the system has made it more difficult for people to jump out of that mindset that they think that, oh, I need insurance to cover my treatment. Never mind if the insurance company's treatment is keeping you sick and is making you live a shorter amount of time with more illness. But spending lots of money paying the insurance company and paying for the drugs. A lot of drugs are not cheap at all. The
Oh,
copay are
no.
pretty expensive.
Yep.
So if you want to be stuck in that system, that's your choice. But what I'm seeing is that more and more people are really sick of it. So they realize, okay, I spent, a few $1,000s, 10, whatever, at our clinic, maybe the most $20,000, but it can be transformative. How much suffering is that going to reduce? And how much money is it going to save you in the long run? So people really need to think of it. And some companies, for example, there's one company with insurance. They're not really an insurance company. It's like a co-op. It's a Christian organization called Samaritan Ministries. They actually started to cover stem cells because
okay.
I think they realize, okay, if we just pay for this amount of money for people to get stem cell treatment, it saves so much money in the long run.
It really does. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can reverse a condition, if you can prevent a condition, in the end, it's a lot cheaper because when you end up in an acute condition, it costs thousands, millions of dollars. I mean,
Exactly.
it's just astronomical. It really blows my mind how much medical treatment can be.
And so I think this is going to be a trend. The insurance companies are going to wake up and realizing we're going to save a lot of money by covering this service. So that's going to come, but not yet. The existing system is very strong in this.
It is. Well, the pharmaceutical companies are some of the strongest. I mean, they were one of the biggest lobbyists in Congress.
Yes.
So you've got a lot of pushback, and it's very political. And of course, that's where people have to become educated, which is, I want to commend you for educating people on all of this, because I think a lot of people don't know where to turn. They don't know anything about this, and they should. And what you're offering is an alternative to, say, bioidentical hormones, correct? I mean, or do you endorse that sort of thing too?
Yeah, that's all part of the integrative medicine, using a holistic, natural approach to enhance health. So bioidentical hormone will be one of the natural approaches. A lot of the supplements and a lot of the energy therapy, right? Using ultrasound or red light, and all these are natural therapies. Any of these. So drugs have a lot of problems. I'm not completely against drugs. I think strategic use is important. Western medicine has brought a lot of great things, but as a philosophy of help preventing the people from getting sick and then getting them recover quickly, I think the drug approach is misguided. I think we need to focus on all the other things, and maybe sometimes we sprinkle some drugs. It's great. I still use drugs and some antifungal medications, maybe anti-nausea, but sometimes it's useful. It's helpful to have them. Even ketamine, great for brain health. That's a synthetic chemical, but can have profound effects on people's depression, anxiety, PTSD. So I'm not against anything synthetic per se, but we really need to put them in their place.
Sure.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Now,
and also I want to just one thing about the practice of medicine, the the power of big pharma. So we all know Google bought, big pharmaceutical company, and it's interesting that
I didn't know that Google bought a pharmaceutical company. I did not know that.
Yeah, that was some years ago. Yeah,
okay,
5-6 years ago. But the doctors who are doing stem cell therapy, no one can run an ad on Google, on Facebook, Instagram. No one can say, I do stem cell therapy and this is how you can find me. Because Google, these entities will simply not let you run, because guess what they say? This is considered
fake news.
No, considered miracle cure in the category of basically snake oil. They put stem cell therapy in the same category as unproven therapies like snake oil. Never mind. When
behind the curtain, essentially, they're not telling the public, we have a vested interest in keeping this in this category because we got something we want to sell.
Yeah. And also, when did they become experts in medicine.
They're a search engine. Exactly.
Yeah. How do we, so the power of these entities has gone really, it's a little scary, and it's not just in medicine. I'm sure it's in many areas,
Yeah.
but in medicine is relevant because they're contributing to the force that's keeping people sick. If people cannot know and are afraid to talk about what actually works.
Exactly.
And that's the only way that people are going to get better.
You have to have the open discussions. And science is constantly changing. Are we back in the Middle Ages where people aren't allowed to talk about some of the scientific discoveries, like the world isn't flat? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the history does repeat itself.
It really does.
There's
And if you want to know what the real reason is, follow the money, right?
And that's exactly right.
Mm.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that even doctors, I will have patients who really want to do stem cell therapy, and then they want to talk with their doctors about it. And I hear so often the doctors say, oh, well, there's still no evidence that stem cells actually work. So it sounds great, but there's no evidence. I was like, oh my God, what evidence would he like? I have hundreds of articles, all categorized by organ systems, disease categories. Which organ system would he like to see?
Sure.
I'll happily send him all the articles. But the problem is that doctors are burying their head in the sand.
Yes.
They really don't want to know. There's no reason for them to know because they are in the insurance and big pharma bubble.
Yep.
So, and they're living a very safe life. Guess what? If you use medications, you can make a person really sick from the side effects. Some are very severe, right? A person could die from the medication you gave them. You are completely free of any repercussions as a provider because you're protected because you're doing quote unquote standard care. Yeah, you are because that's what everyone does. And that's why you're safe because you've informed people how bad and how detrimental these medications are. So if something terrible happened to them, you're completely safe. So if you are looking for safety, then you're not going to venture out of it because you're completely protected.
Well, and doctors worry about liability, certainly.
Very much.
I don't think a lot of people realize that a lot of the medical schools are sponsored by the pharmaceutical companies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If people want to know details, just look up Rockefeller medicine. So how Rockefeller basically changed the entire medical system from a natural approach to petroleum medical, chemical-based practice and squeezing out everybody else.
So they're trained and conditioned by companies that want to stay in business.
Yeah. So when Rockefeller started to donate all these money to medical schools, and they said, hey, we just gave you all this money. Wouldn't it make sense that we have somebody on your board to help you to make sure the money's well spent? That's how it started. The control of the medical education. That's how it got started.
That's just crazy. So now, how do people reach out to a physician who's been trained and in someone who's approved by your group so that they know that they're getting the right kind of stem cell therapy? Is this available across the nation or in North America?
Yeah, actually, a lot of doctors are doing it, despite the fact that there's opposition that is not FDA approved, that is that it's a little bit on the fringe, on the edge. Even though it's extraordinarily safe, but because if you don't use cells that have been manipulated, then you are providing a tissue transplant. So the FDA did say, if you're not manipulating anything, and if you're not claiming that you're treating diseases, then you're just performing an organ transplantation, then you can do it as a doctor without going through a drug study. But if you start to do certain things, changing the cells in any way or putting the body in a particular manner, that makes it a drug, and then you have to conduct drug study. And drug studies are very expensive. I don't know if you know, it takes on an average $2.1 billion to bring a drug into the market.
Yes.
So who has that kind of money? Just think about it, right? Who has that kind of money? So that's one of the obstacles. But a lot of doctors are able to do it because it's a tissue transplant. More and more are doing it, despite that it's, some are scared to do it. But in the last 5 years, the number of stem cell clinics have quadrupled in the US. I always say this is a grassroots movement. It's not the doctors who are driving this movement, it's the patients, because it works.
Yeah.
The word spread, everybody is seeking for solutions. Then that's why I hear all the time from doctors, hey, I have 4 or 5 people interested in stem cell therapy. I don't know how to do it. Can you teach me how? So that's what's going on. The patients are driving this.
So can patients go to Chara Health and Chara Biologics to find a
Yeah,
physician?
Chara Biologics provides stem cell products to doctors, but Chara Health is my clinic in Los Angeles. So absolutely, they can find me. Actually, it's the easiest way to find me, probably just my website, joycongmd.com, and then that has everything in there, and they can send in a contact form. But yeah, Chara Health is where we do some really interesting stuff, not just using stem cells, but stem cells is definitely the key feature. But we want to make sure we're addressing the complex nature of health altogether. So we do a lot of adjunct treatment, different supplements, different peptides. We do ozone therapy before stem cells. We use laser technology. So comprehensively, we can target the cells even more efficiently and more precisely. Yeah, so it's
That's fabulous. That's
It really is.
absolutely fabulous.
This is
My God.
exciting.
yeah.
The potential to improving the quality of life for people. I mean, that's a huge bonus right there. And it just makes sense. And it's going to be, because they keep talking about the aging population and how it's going to be a major burden. Well, if you keep people in a healthy state, that's not going to be a problem.
Yeah. So do you guys
Yeah.
know the statistic? If you can slow the aging process down by 7 years, you can reduce the amount of chronic illness in the world by half. So 50%
Wow.
reduction in the number of chronic illnesses, that people cases, right? This basically 50% of suffering will be gone. And I do believe if we start to give people regular IV stem cells, starting at the age, whatever, 35, that's when the decline is much more obvious. If we can start there, 35, 40 years old, we start the IV stem cells on a regular basis, I don't think it's difficult to slow down the aging process by 15 to 20 years. And I do believe that will result in 75% of the illness being gone. Imagine a much healthier human species.
And happier too.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Then you have more time, you have less time to be self-absorbed of your illness and more time to devote to helping others, to have a good family, to add to the joyfulness of being alive, right?
And I would think this could be a wonderful breakthrough for maybe things like Alzheimer's, where there's cognitive decline.
Yeah, it can definitely help. It's very neuroprotective, so it can help protect against these neurological conditions. And
Mhm.
even when people are suffering from it, because of the multiple mechanism, how it works, we know it can help reduce the symptoms. And I've seen that clinically, getting people to even regain personality back, to go from urinary and bowel incontinent to becoming continent, to from not verbal to conversing, not feeding themselves to actually starting eating, and all these improvements showing that the neurological, all the highways in your brain are starting to flow, right? And so information are passing through, so you can do all these things that you were actually prevented from doing because you were so sick.
And I would imagine too with fertility, if someone is struggling with that, this could help too.
Yeah,
right?
so that's interesting. There are animal studies showing, believe it or not, perimenopausal rats, if you start to give them stem cells, so these are aging rats with aging ovaries, and you start to give them stem cells, IV stem cells, they actually start the ovary, the size gets bigger, there are more follicles, they are better hormone secretion, so improved hormone levels and more pregnancies.
Can it help with somebody? Can it help with somebody has gone through menopause as well?
Of course, yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm thinking this helps.
I don't know if it's gonna revert you back into premenopause, but it's gonna help you with all your functions.
Mhm.
But
gonna help
yeah,
overall. It's
Yeah.
just so
Yeah.
good, so good.
I think it's just a foundation. It's a foundational therapy. One day the mystique, around it is gonna be gone. It's not gonna be no big deal. And right now it's controversy. Well, okay. in hopefully 15, 20 years, everybody's going to be using stem cells and it's going to be no big deal.
Sure.
Of course, you're going to do some stem cells so you don't decline. Like if all your friends are not declining, you're the only one declining. Would you?
Oh, yeah,
you
right.
jump on the bandwagon, right? Like, why
Sure.
are we declining? If I can look youthful until I'm 75, why am I willing to allow myself to start, looking old at 55, right? Why? So you want to jump on it so you can, really enjoy.
Exactly.
And so everyone's going to be doing it. And of course, humans, we're always going to have sickness, always going to have accidents and injuries. And so anytime if you do need surgeries, you can always do stem cells to accelerate your healing. And so no matter how
yeah.
sick you are, what's going on, infections, even COVID, the Chinese were doing studies. I mean, they were devastated, right? Before we were devastated and they were freaking out. So they started doing stem cell research. So at the very early stage, I think it was March, I was talking about these 6 studies they did using stem cells, getting people, almost all the people off ventilators and out of the hospitals within 5 or 6 days. So they were on it. It's like, okay, let's try stem cells. And boom, it works because it will prevent you from that cytokine storm and really calm the inflammation and shift things around. So even infections, whatever suffering that we're dealing with, you're going to do some stem cells so that you can just elevate your ability to repair and heal.
It makes total sense. So would you recommend people reach out to Chara Health first if they want to? Okay.
Yeah, they can always go to my website, joycongmd.com, and put in a contact form. And I welcome people to learn more about stem cells on my YouTube channel. It's just joycongmd. So I have so many videos going in deeper into different aspects about stem cell therapy because there's a lot to talk about, including people's concerns about, oh, well, I don't want other people's DNA in my body. Okay, I talked about that. Okay, how often do I need a treatment? Do I need treatment for the rest of my life? I talked about that. And difference between stem cells and exosomes, which is really hot right now. I talk about that. So there are a lot of subjects I go into greater depths. So I want people to be educated.
This is revolutionary. I really appreciate you being on the show. This is very educational, and I think you're giving a lot of people a lot of hope.
Absolutely.
What an honor to have you on our show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just to give people an idea, I have seen people with autoimmune conditions. For example, there's one lady with rheumatoid arthritis. She was a surgical technician and she couldn't work for months. And in the middle of a stem cell infusion, she made a fist and started crying. She said, I haven't been able to make a fist for 2 months. And it can happen that fast. We've got people with Parkinson's, wheelchair bound for a year or two, and standing up from our bed and walk toward the doctor and giving the doctor a hug. People who previously, someone with Alzheimer's, not talking for months, all of a sudden in the middle of the treatment, telling doctors, thank you. Autistic kids. I just gave a presentation at a big autism conference in Brazil, talking about the cases, of how it can help autistic kids. People with, heart, lung diseases. These are, most of these people I see have exhausted the traditional therapies.
Sure.
They came to the end of their hope. And then they see something incredible with stem cells. So it's definitely making my work really meaningful and inspiring and really fun.
You are changing lives. Thank you
I
so much,
know.
Dr. Khan, for doing what you're doing. And we really appreciate you being on the show. And I definitely encourage people to do more research on this and reach out to you.
Absolutely. Oh, just one thing. So I don't deprive your audience of this. I did develop a cream called Chara Omni. Is a stem cell cream. So for people who may not have the resources to actually do a stem cell treatment, at least they can use this cream for their face for rejuvenation.
Oh, excellent.
It's 100% natural. So it's very important for me not to give people these synthetic ingredients that you can't pronounce because so many of them have a lot of unforeseen issues in the body. The body is complex. All of a sudden, you're introducing completely different molecules that your biology has never seen for millennia. And they can have all kinds of problems. So I'm just not willing to do that. So everything's natural. And we have stem cells, which are not alive, by the way, but all the beneficial ingredients from the cells, all the signals are still there. And then all these really effective peptides for skin regeneration. And a lot of herbal extracts, antioxidants, prebiotics. So it's an amazing cream. So I just want to make sure that people know that they can reap some benefits from stem cells, even if they can't go get stem cell treatment.
Okay. And what's the name of the product again, and where would they find that?
It's Chara Omni, so CHARA and OMNI, so charaomni.com. And that's the website with a list of all the ingredients, and they can read up on what the ingredients do.
I'll be checking it out for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you're always looking for the perfect elixir, you know?
I know.
Dr. Kong, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. You two are wonderful. And thank you for what you do to bring, great information to help women all around. Yeah. And I'm honored to be here.
It's been an honor having you. Thank you, Dr. Kong.
We hope you've enjoyed this latest episode. And if you want to hear more episodes of Women Road Warriors or learn more about our show, be sure to check out womenroadwarriors.com. And please follow us on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. On our website, we also have a selection of podcasts just for women. They're a series of podcasts from different podcasters. So if you're in the mood for women's podcasts, just click the Power Network tab on womenroadwarriors.com. You'll have a variety of shows to listen to anytime you want to. Podcasts made for women. Women Road Warriors is on all the major podcast channels like Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Audible, YouTube, and others. Check us out. And please follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro. If you want to be a guest on the show or have a topic or feedback, email us at sjohnson@womenroadwarriors.com.